Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm Alana Dunoff and here with Jim Myers. Jim can wave. So we're going to take about a half an hour. We're good talkers, so hopefully we'll keep it to a half an hour to really just talk about everything you really need to know about the ProFM Credential and an upcoming course that that Jim and I are going to be teaching together. So we thought we would just start off with just some quick introductions, and I'm going to introduce Jim. So Jim and I met as we were both studying for the ProFM. So a couple of years ago, and we were in a little study group together, and we just really sort of clicked, and we sort of became partners once we became instructors, and it has been really terrific. And Jim has a very impressive and complementary resume. He has decades of experience in energy, engineering, and education and business. He got his bachelor's in civil and environmental engineering from Cornell University, and also his master's at Penn State in architectural engineering. And actually for 22 years, he was the director of the Penn State Institute of Facilities Engineering Institute, which is essentially sort of a training arm as well as a consulting arm that worked with the state of Pennsylvania for their facilities and supporting them. Did I get that right, Jim? Close enough?
That's great.
Right.
Yeah.
He also has done customized training, and he has been in the profession for more than 30 years and such an asset to, we're a great teaching duo. All right, your turn, Jim.
Okay. Well, Alana not only is ProFM, but she has some impressive IFMA credentials. She has her FMP and is an IFMA fellow. She has nearly 30 years experience in strategic facility planning and project management in both the commercial sector, healthcare, and real estate industries. She has more than 18 years as an FM instructor and an adjunct professor, and currently teaches a facilities management Bachelor of Science program at Temple University. She also has a degree from Cornell University and is a qualified instructor, of course, for ProFM, and was the first woman to earn her ProFM certification. And I can tell you, she is an awesome teacher and a great teaching partner.
Oh,
so thank you.
Thank you. So here's our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about what the ProFM is and kind of go through what they call the 24 things everyone should know, which is really the body of knowledge. And then we'll talk a little bit about how do you earn your ProFM and our approach to our class. So I'm just going to start off talking a little bit about what the ProFM is. And it's really a knowledge-based credential built on the foundation of sort of global FM standards. And it's a really robust program, sort of regardless of where you are in your career, whether you're new to facilities management or if you've been in the industry for a long time, there is something to learn in the body of knowledge. When I took it, a couple of years ago, I've been teaching forever and I teach facilities management, and I still learned a lot from the body of knowledge. It has that kind of robustness to it as well, which I think is really unique from the perspective of this kind of body of knowledge. The other thing that I think that's pretty interesting about the body of knowledge is that it has a lot of the ISO, the International Standards Organization's definitions of facilities management within the body of knowledge. And that really helps to create a common language for our industry and terminology, throughout the globe. And I think that that's a pretty important part of what this body of knowledge does. And it also focuses on knowledge that kind of fills in the gaps. It covers so much information, as Jim is going to cover in a little bit, that you might know a lot, but then you're going to get to a section or a chapter and you're like, I don't know any of this. And so there's always something to learn within this robust body of knowledge. And the body of knowledge was created through a really large, extensive research study that was conducted back in 2017. So the ProFMI, which is the ProFM Institute, they commissioned this big study to really understand, what do FMs need to learn? And so it had over 3,300 professionals from like 93 countries and over 1,800 different companies all participate in the study to sort of give feedback as to, what are the skills, what are the knowledge, what do people who are in this profession need to learn and need to know as a foundation for the industry. And that's how the body of knowledge sort of came to be, by collecting that kind of global information from facilities. So they like to say it was created by facilities professionals for facilities professionals, because it's this massive sort of cumulative data and information from the industry. So what I really like about this ProFM is that it's divided into 5 modules that covers 24 competencies. So I sort of think of it like the soup to nuts or the cradle to grave of the industry. So it just covers a ton of breadth, not necessarily a lot of depth. It doesn't go into tons of detail in a lot of areas, but it really has the continuum of information. And what I'm going to do now is turn it over to Jim, who's going to talk more specifically about the body of knowledge, and really kind of go through, as you can see, the kind of an overview, since the kind of information that it covers. Ready, Jim?
Yes, thanks, Alana.
Sure.
As Alana said, the foundation of ProFM is the body of knowledge, and these 24 things that every FM should know. The ProFM body of knowledge defines competencies as knowledge, skills, and abilities you'll need to be successful now and in the future. It's not only what you know, but how you're going to apply it that's important. And this chart of the functional knowledge areas is a representation of the bodies of knowledge. So body of knowledge. So I'm going to go through that in more detail using this diagram. Next slide, please. This first module that you see highlighted in blue is what ProFM calls the cross-functional competencies. These competencies not only allow you to perform certain roles or tasks successfully, but at an advanced performance level, because I think all of you who are here don't want to just be average, you want to be exceptional. The competencies can be technical, managerial, cognitive, or interpersonal. And so you see there listed 5 competencies on the left of communication, sustainability, quality, innovation, and collaboration. And so in this module 1, they're covered independently, but you'll also see them woven throughout the other 4 modules because they are cross-functional. Next, please. The second module is asset management. And this module focuses on the various activities in which FMs engage to maintain and realize the value of physical assets. So it covers project management, which is a pretty broad topic in and of itself, but ProFM does a good job of covering the breadth of project management and then covering some of the high points in a bit more depth. Strategic planning is another section, which is of course about understanding the organization's needs and aligning our FM processes to support the organization. What the body of knowledge calls the demand organization, the organization that you're really trying to help as an FM. And then capital planning is a dive into the financial processes associated with large-scale capital projects, from development of a business case so that you can sell them to your management, and return on investment calculations and life cycle cost analysis. The construction section looks at the process of construction from design, programming, execution, and closeout. The third module, which is on the next slide, is risk management, which looks at the process of identifying, analyzing, and managing risk. You see 4 topics here under risk management, starting with compliance and standards. And here I want to make note of something Alana said, that relative to ISO definitions that are related to FM are incorporated into the body of knowledge. And And risk management is one area where you will see a lot of those definitions provided and explained. EH&S, or environmental health and safety, covers things like indoor air quality, hazards and fire. Security looks at physical security, cybersecurity, and workplace violence. And finally, emergency management covers incident response processes and business continuity. Some of the things we were talking about before we got started with George there. The next slide, slide 11, is the fourth module in the wheel, and it is business management. It looks at the skills and the mindset we need as FMs to manage and lead our staff, our customers, and our vendor partners. Facility managers are business managers also, and managing the facility function is a business in its own right. And it has a critical mindset for facility managers to adopt. When facility managers realize that it's results that count, they'll hold themselves accountable for the success. So this topic, as you can see, has a number of sections to it. Covers basic financial management, understanding financial statements and developing budgets. And we also talk about procurement processes and purchasing processes and managing the many service contracts we have. In addition, there's an important section on human capital, kind of like your HR section, leadership skills, and a section on real estate, looking at both owned versus leased properties and related processes. And then fifth, what some FMs have been waiting for, operation and maintenance. This is an area with which, most FMs are generally most comfortable, not always. However, regardless of your experience and knowledge, there's always opportunities to learn. And within the O&M module, there are 5 main topics that you see there: technical services, which includes things like preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, runtime to failure maintenance strategies for the hard services and systems in our buildings. Occupant services, all the people services, from fitness centers to cafeterias to copy centers to custodial services, and many other services that are in our buildings. Work management looks at workflow and the work order process and some of the technology related to that, like CMMS systems. Utility management, this is an area that I worked in all my career. It covers things like energy, electricity, gas, water consumption, utilization, and how to be more efficient, how to calculate industry metrics and understand your water and electric bill. Space management covers planning and management for space and determining occupant space needs for things like move management. I just want to add one other thing, kind of personal note, why I think the ProFM credential is so valuable. I spent my entire career in FM related kinds of work. So when I went through the ProFM material to study for the test, there were no topics really that were foreign to me. However, there were some topics, of course, that were areas of strength, and others where there were new things for me to learn. But what I really think differentiates ProFM is that the body of knowledge is presented in a comprehensive way. It really helps you see how the topics relate to one another. And for me, it codified some of the experiential knowledge that I had in topics that I had never received formal training. And FM, of course, is not a stagnant profession. It's constantly changing, and there's new things, new technology. And this is a good way to learn and stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and on that note, Jim, I think that's a great way to end. I mean, look what's happened over the past now 2 years. Someone was joking that I didn't know that 2020 was going to be a trilogy as we head into our 3rd year of some of this stuff. But we end up spending, a lot more time talking about risk management these days and going through issues of indoor air quality and so on. So we're constantly, our industry keeps evolving. And even though the body of knowledge is sort of a moment in time, it also is going to continue to grow and change as the profession grows and change. So I want to shift gears a little bit and just talk about how do you actually earn the ProFM credential? What does it actually sort of look like? So the ProFM credential, again, it's a knowledge-based credential focused on building knowledge and skills and your abilities. And the program is really very comprehensive and is really full of all the resources you need to earn your credential and achieve it successfully. So the first thing is there's reading materials. There is both the text. There's the 5 modules that Jim went through. So that's the basic body of knowledge. And you can get that either through text of actual books, and I meant to pull mine out, but I've got a whole 5 big stacked books of lots of information. It's actually like 1,000 pages of content, which is quite crazy. But it's also available online, so you have an e-reader that you can use to read if that's your preferred way of getting the information. And then there's the online study tools. The online platform is really significant. It has a pre-test, it has a smart study planning guide, which sort of gives a framework for how to study and prepare for the test. Each module and each section has quizzes that you can do. There's flashcards for terminology. There's progress reports to kind of see how you're doing and keeping track of the work you're doing, so you can kind of see your progress going through the material. There's a glossary, there's an online resource center. So the online study tools are really very robust. And then finally, there's the online assessment. And I'm going to flip slides here to do a little bit more detail. So the way the ProFM assessments work is there are actually 2 cumulative final assessments. So all of that knowledge from those 5 modules are all tested together. And so there are 2 separate tests, and you can take them really in any order. So the first test is what they call the knowledge exam, and it's 75 multiple choice questions, and you have 90 minutes to take that test. And this one is basic, sort of the knowledge that the content has provided you with. So through all 5 of the modules, asking you sort of more difficult questions. There's questions with calculations. There's some easy ones. It depends on your knowledge, but it's really pretty significant. And then the second test is their application exam. And Jim and I like this one, the best. The application exam, it sort of takes the knowledge and says, how do you apply it to sort of real life scenarios? So it's got fewer questions. It's about 50 multiple choice questions where it has like a little scenario, and you do your best to apply the sort of the best knowledge to the right answer. And you also have about 90 minutes for that exam. The assessments can be taken over and over again until you pass them, and you need a 70% to pass, which is actually pretty generous. As a college professor, 70% seems pretty low. In the world of credentials, 70% seems just about right. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that the ProFM is an exam that you renew every 3 years. You don't have to take the test every 3 years, but it is renewable every 3 years. And there's a form that you fill out that shows that you're doing any other kind of learning, going to conferences or workshops, doing anything to just continue to educate yourself to stay sort of relevant in the profession. So it's pretty easy to do that. And there is a fee every 3 years. I think it's $99 or something like that. I wanted to share with you. Okay, so I want to switch gears again and tell a little bit about how our instructor-led class runs and what we do. There's lots of different ways that you can earn your ProFM. You can do it self-study if you'd like and go at your own pace and get the material. Of course, Jim and I are partial to an instructor-based class. And of course, in the past couple of years, that has really become a virtual class. So our format is this. We do a 7-week instructor-led live virtual class that we offer over a 14-week period. So we meet every other week, and Jim's going to talk about and show you our schedule for our upcoming class in a couple minutes. But it's we meet for 2.5 hours together, and those sessions are a mixture. So the five of those 7 sessions are all content, where we're going to give you highlighted content and review the things that we think are the most challenging in each of the modules. might be life cycle cost analysis, where you've got to do some calculations, and just areas that we think we really want to make sure you focus on. So we'll go through each of the modules in that regard. We also will give you, prior to getting started, a syllabus of what to read and sort of a framework to follow, so you really have a process in place. We'll do quizzes when we get together. We'll do group activities when we're together. Really trying to make it an engaged class. And we also really focus on staying accountable. We think that it's hard to take on something like getting and earning a credential on top of your job and your family and everything else. So staying accountable is really important to us in the process also. So, Jim mentioned when he introduced me that I've been teaching for a really long time, and I've been teaching FM credentials for like 11 or 12 years now. And we do think we kind of have sort of a secret sauce around how to help our students be successful in earning their credential. And so I think that our success, and from the students we've already had, is that we're both qualified instructors. We've both been teaching for a really long time. And Jim and I have really complementary skills. He's more on the engineering side. I've been more on the strategic planning and project management side. And so together we really feel like we're one great, awesome facilities professional that can really provide you with stories and engagement and the knowledge that you need. We also know the test, and we have a lot of insights into the test. And we have also created a ton of test taking tips and strategies, because part of earning your credential is the knowledge, but it's also remembering how to take a test. And it may be a long time since you've taken tests and gone through them, and they're hard. I will not kid you. Like Jim and I, we did not pass the first time around, either one of us. We had to work through it sort of ourselves. So we know it's got a lot of challenge to it. And we have strategies to help you be the best version of yourself when you're taking the tests. We also really like to have a class that's engaged, because we also know that there's a lot of knowledge in the room. And so we get you to talk to each other and share your experiences and help answer questions and things like that, because your knowledge is equally as important, and maybe how you understand a topic that perhaps we're not explaining so well just by your own knowledge. I already mentioned accountability, which is really big for us. We're going to stay with you through the whole process. Even when you're done with the content, we're going to stay with you. We have a class finishing up right now, and we already have a date scheduled in February for when everyone said, I'm going to be done with the ProFM by then, and we're going to check in and stay accountable, because passing is the important part here. And then finally, we sort of, again, like to say that we have our secret sauce, that all of these things above really help make our class fun and engaging to participate in and to be successful in. Jim?
Thanks, Alana. So this shows the schedule of our class. We're going to be kicking it off, as it says, on February 10th with an introduction and kind of going through some of the things that we're going through now, but also how we suggest that you attack and approach the material. And if you'll see there, the classes are every 2 weeks. And so we do the modules in sequence every 2 weeks. So there is some thought behind that. And that is that gives you 2 weeks from the kickoff to read and do the material for module 1. One of the things we say over and over again is that you will not obtain your ProFM credential without reading the material and doing the quizzes. So while we are instructors, you still have to do the work. And so, but we're here to help you every step of the way. So each 2 weeks, we'll tell you what you have to do pace-wise to get through that module and be prepared for class. As an example, into introduction, we'll tell you what you have to do to be ready for module 1. If you go through that, and in class on the February 24th, you're going to be right on target if you've read that material and we go through it. So, and we practice helping you pass the test by going through quizzes and flashcards and some selected content. The content is so extensive that there really isn't time to do it all, but we try to selectively find things there to help you. And so there, again, you can see that every 2 weeks. And by the time you get to April 21st, we're actually encouraging you to take the final test, even though the May 12th, which is 2 weeks after the 21st there, would be a review. Part of the review is, hey, I've taken a test. I know what it's like. Let's talk about it. What can I do? And that brings up one of the other things. There is no penalty for failure of the test. Once you sign up for ProFM, you have a full year to pass the test. And you don't take the test so many times and then you're locked out. There's no penalty for failure. There's no cost for any additional taking the test. So that's our class schedule. The class, as you can see, is 7 to 9:30 Eastern time. That's for modules 1 to 4. The introduction and the conclusion are generally more an hour and a half class.
Depends on how chatty our class is. Last week we went pretty long.
on the review, we ended up.
So it just depends.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jim has figured out how many pages you need to read each night to sort of keep pace with it. So, he's got that down to a science. So we thought we would just see if there's any questions that you have. We've got a couple of FAQs that sometimes we get along the way. Jim, do you want to hit any of these? I know we're
what if I miss a class? Well, we encourage students to attend every class. But if you do miss a class, and try to notify us in advance, and we're going to do our best to accommodate your needs, including access to a recording. I think one of the value addeds that we provide is, we always say, hey, if you need to talk in between classes, email us. Hey, maybe we can set up a phone call or a Zoom. And I'm always willing to do one-on-one with somebody if they need a little bit of extra boost or have some questions. So how much does it cost to take the actual assessment? I think Alana mentioned before, our fees all in. There's no additional application fees, administration fees, exam fees. It's all in the one fee. And as I said before, if you need to take the test multiple times, you're not going in to pay to take the test. It's an all in. What if you don't pass the first time? As I said, can be taken as many times as you'd like for a period of 1 year after registering. And the ProFM is Credential after you pass is then valid for 3 years from the date on which you pass the assessment, and renewal of the Credential requires that you have 45 continuing education renewal credits, which are really very easy. We go over those at the beginning of the class. It's a variety of things from just working in the field, to reading, to doing things like we're doing in presenting. And to get your renewal after 3 years, there's a nominal fee of $99. In terms of how ProFM is different than FMP and CFM, that's an Alana question. She's FM expert. So
I also teach the FMP and have done that for many years. And Matt, you looks like you asked that same question. So I'll give you a really quick summary of it, because I really do believe in FM education. I think they're both great. And I actually think that the ProFM and the FMP are actually quite complementary. But I do think there are some differences. I think that the ProFM, as we've been talking about, covers 24 competencies. It really is soup to nuts, all in the industry. And I think it is, it's like this great sort of glossary of all things FM, because you will find a little bit about everything. The FMP focuses on what IFMA calls their sort of 4 foundational courses or competencies, and that's leadership and strategy, finance and business, project management, and operations and maintenance. And if you can remember, those were all things that Jim, of course, talked about in the competencies with the ProFM. The difference is, though, that the FMP, I think, has the focus or the hat on that says, how do you manage these areas? So it has a little bit of a leadership perspective to it, and it goes a much deeper dive into each of those areas. From a content perspective, FMP actually has more content hours, like 60 hours, and the ProFM is more like 40 content hours. So the FMP is really a deep dive, and I think it's great for people who are looking for leadership and supervisory opportunities and to grow in the organization, because it really has that really strong leadership management. How do I manage? How do I be the manager and facilities manager? And I think ProFM is, how is the facility in facilities management? And then the CFM is a experientially based exam. So that is, there aren't sort of books for the CFM. That is something you would, go to, you would apply to earn it. And it's like a 4-hour sort of online test, you and the machine going through how IFMA defines the 11 core competencies, which is kind of the same as the 24 competencies. They're just broken out a little bit differently because it's still all the FM industry. I personally think that if you have your FMP, that the ProFM is a great additional complement in your ladder of earning your CFM, because it covers so much more material that you may not get in the FMP. So I think they're very complementary. I know quite a number of people who now have both, so I think that they're terrific. Some people have asked if they're competing. I don't really see that way. I just think education's all important. Any other questions? We have like 1 or 2 more slides just to tell you about our class, and then we'll let you get out of here. But this is a moment for Bridget or George or Martin, anyone else have any additional questions we can answer for you?
I do have a question. Just looking at everything you described between FMP, ProFM, and looking at a career. Let's say someone's getting into facilities management as a new person. How do they go about picking which would be the best route for them, as well as figuring out when they take the education, where do they start as far as work goes? If they want to be in a leadership position, like you said, FMP might be the best route to go, but there might not be too many employees that would want to hire you off the bat if you're brand new to the field. So is ProFM the best way to start? So basically looking for not only just a educational progression, but a career progression in tandem with it. What does that look like?
Wow, that's so it's a great question, George. Thank you so much. I don't know, Jim, if you have any initial things, there's maybe a little bit of a chicken and the egg. I think they're both take you to where you need to be. And I think employers look for credential and learning rather than, hey, you have your FMP versus your ProFM. Both of them are excellent good starts, right? Both of them say you're the kind of person who was learning to educate themselves in the field. I know, and I've had many people who come to both of my different types of classes who have, they were admins and they didn't know anything and they found themselves doing it and they realized I need some education to back me up. There are so many paths into this field and so many skill sets that make you help you be a good FM, that the credentials just support that and fill in those gaps. So where you start, I'm not sure really matters. Jim, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I'm not really that familiar with the FMP or the CFM, but I would say the ProFM is so broad. It's what I said before, is that when you look at those 24 competencies, there's so much there, and I think that breadth is awesome, and it at least, if you're getting into the field, or if you're in it, if you're getting into the field, it provides you some breadth of knowledge everywhere. If you've already been in the field, it fills in gaps.
Absolutely. And George, I'm happy to continue the conversation with you, going, I know you're really thinking about where you want to be and what you want to do. So we can absolutely set up some additional time to talk. I know you have a lot of things happening in that head. So I want to support you and help you kind of figure out your journey along the way. Bridget, did you have
Thanks,
anything else?
appreciate it.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I got my facilities management certificate from University of Irvine, continuing education. So would any of those credits be transferable, or can I get any credit for any of the coursework?
You basically have to pass the tests.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, so like those credits, like if once you have your ProFM, if you're saying like towards like renewal, they're sort of in the past, but it's really like just working gives you like, they're not looking for a formal, they're not tracking your formal CEUs, like if you were an architect or even with the CFM, they're just looking for you to acknowledge that, you know, hey, I went to a conference, or hey, I attended an online, you know, session, or I did this. They just want you to be cognizant, to be the kind of person that keeps learning and growing and staying relevant in the profession.
It's really, I think, pretty easy to get those 45 credits in 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. It's 45 contact hours, really. It's not 45 CEUs. A CEU is generally 10 contact hours just for one CEU. So it's really 45 contact hours, which, you know, if you're doing any work in the field at all, that should be very easy.
Pretty easy to do. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. So just to kind of wrap up here, so Jim and I do have this class starting in February, and just to share some of the registration dollars with you. So we do have an early bird through January 17th. So knocking down that price to $19.95. And then we're going to look for a complete registration by February 1st, because we have to order the materials and get everything out to everyone as well. And you can go to our website, which is learntobeanfmpro.com to enroll. And because you're here and because we're appreciative of your time, we also want to offer sort of an additional discount. So actually bring it down to $18.95. If you register between now and the 17th, just using that discount code ProFM 0210, it's the date, February 10th, at checkout for an additional discount, because we hope that you're really interested, and we really want to encourage you to joining us. And we'll send out this information again to you, so you have it available to you, and we'll send out this recording as well. And then finally, here's our contact information. You can certainly screenshot it, or if you want to reach out to Jim or I directly with any questions. But again, I will be following up with all of you to provide, you know, just a follow up and seeing if you have any questions. We'd certainly love to have you in our class. We love engaged learners, people who are willing to turn their screens on and participate in class. We love teaching this class and really are having a lot of great success. We have a class that is just finishing up now, and we're waiting for them to finish up and to see who gets the first one, who gets to be complete. But they're making progress. We already have 1 or 2 students who have completed at least one of the assessments, so we know that they are on their way. And with that, I'll just say thank you for being here and listening, and for your interest. And if we have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to Jim or I directly, or go to the website again, learntobeanfmpro.com for more information.
Thanks for attending.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.